Welcome to Rainbow Soul Podcast, where our Soulstrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Bright Hawk's positive perspective and Lacrosse's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else Rainbow Soul is offered on our website at rainbowsoul.show.
Hello. Well, isn't that weird? Hello. It's Hollis and Bright Hawk at Rainbow Soulstrology. I'm here. I can introduce myself. I'm Hollis Taylor.
I'm Bright Hawk.
Yeah, I'm trying to edit the name. And we're glad you're here. Glad you're tuning in to this week's Soulstrology Forecast.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
And
hopefully you've had a good week.
Hopefully it hasn't been too hard on you. And you can always find out more about us in the description and so forth. We are here to talk about the upcoming week. Starts today, pretty much. And so that's like, today, which I talked about Pluto going retrograde. Did you guys feel that in the last few days? I kind of felt it, but it was kind of a soft push about things. And I think it's even pushing now. And it's pointing on that reflective energy, especially of things that have been happening since fall. Not just the election. Like, of course, yeah, the election. Like, I think that's hot on people's minds and realizing, because we're having like that, like a lot of people are doing like the 100-day reflection and things like that since the election. But I think it's also like just in your personal life, whatever you've been struggling with since November. So you've probably been feeling it. Hopefully it hasn't been too hard on you. Probably depends on your own placements. So we'll take this minute to have a little reflection. I want to invite you to just sit still in your seat. Just take a deep breath. We're going to have a little meditation to help us ground and be prepared for the messages today. And as you find yourself centered, I want you to imagine yourself lying down on a comfortable blanket outdoors on a very comfortable evening, staring at the stars above you. And as those stars come down on you and you shine down, the moon shines. You recognize that there is a bigger plan right now. That this is not this moment or the moments you've been experiencing or will experience. While it feels very personal, it often is not. And you can allow things to unfold, even hard things, even difficult things. Just allow them to unfold in front of you. Reassuring yourself that what's unfolding in your life, what has already unfolded, and what is to come is part of a larger plan of the universe. Your job is to surrender and listen. What is the next thing? And you hear a whisper in the wind. No doubt. You are a child of the universe. There is no doubt. That things are unfolding exactly as they should. I invite you to just come back to the here and now. Staying open and ready for this forecast. Wiggling your toes and your fingers and coming in to the present moment in the here and now. Well done, Bright Hawk. Thank you.
Oh, well, shucks, thank you.
I appreciate you. And I just want to let everyone know that here we are in the forecast, and this is for the week of May 5th through May 11th. Hey, Shauna, it's good to see you. I'm glad you made it today. Just last week, all I could think of was you in that moment. I was like, that's my double Leo friend. Hi, Shauna. All right. So as we take a look at, I'm going to bring up Alyssa. Okay. So as I mentioned, Pluto already went retrograde, right? And so it's already retrograde right now. So it's already happened. So whatever was meant to happen has happened. And it's probably not like real super big. It was probably just kind of a push if you were listening. So you would just have reflected on what happened the last way back in the fall, and that unfolded over the winter, and then is now coming to conclusion now. So you might reflect on your experience that has happened in that time, especially if you have strong Leo or Aquarius placements. Okay. And particularly in those first few degrees of Leo and the first few degrees of Pluto. Okay. Now on this day, today, I thought it was interesting that there's actually a yod, which is very faded with the moon, right? So, As you can see, Bright Hawk, there's a yod pointing at the moon in Virgo. You see it?
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's pulling from Neptune and Venus, which are sextile, and Pluto, which is retrograde. So I really think this is about like our relationships, or visiting control and power in our relationships, and how do we feel about that, and is this okay? And you know what's funny? We did have like an experience like that with our neighbor, just because just trying to be clear in communication about, saying no, and am I under an illusion, and la la la, because the moon's in Virgo, and it rules communication. Virgo.
Oh, true. I don't always remember that. That's actually really true. Mercury, Virgo. Mercury also rules Gemini. Both of them are big, important communicators, great communicators, generally speaking. They're very good at that. So that's very interesting. I hadn't realized that. So yes, very important to speak your truth. And Virgo hopefully will help you do that, because Virgo is high integrity truth teller, not one that's usually afraid of the truth. That's more like Libra. Libra's always afraid of confrontation, so they'll sit on their truth instead of speak their truth.
And isn't it funny? Have any of you ever had that experience where you want to ask for something, you're not sure it's appropriate, you're not sure if they can do it, or whatever, or if maybe you're asking too much or whatever, and you're not sure if the person will say no or not?
Where's the boundary?
Like, I don't know if you've ever had that experience, but that's exactly what happened to us today, and I think it was very fated. So I'm glad it happened that way.
Yeah, and I was glad everybody spoke their truth, which, if everybody speaks their truth, it's great. It
usually works out. Mm-hmm.
Being clear about where your boundaries are makes for clarity, okay, that's great. Good to know. Now we can move on and not make any weird assumptions.
And when I'm coaching people about boundaries, because that's like one of the number one things that happens, is that people want to, struggle with setting boundaries, is I always remind people that the people that you're around, that you're setting the boundaries with, first of all, the ones that love you the most will be so glad and so grateful that you said no or drew a boundary in some way. And the ones that aren't, you might want to look closer at those relationships. Right. But also
the people who don't like you setting boundaries are usually the people who benefit from you having no boundaries.
Right. So, usually.
I'm not sure who said that, if it's Brene Brown or who, but anyway, that's classic, but what also Brene will often say is clarity around boundaries is kindness, because people really want to know, like you said, where you stand. Am I asking for too much, or is it, are you interested in this opportunity? Is it, where are we on this spectrum? So yeah, speak your truth, own it. Remember, you never have to explain it. Just say what your boundary is, and that's that. You don't have to explain yourself. No, I'm not available.
You don't have to, but of course some people do, and that's okay. Sometimes I'd rather explain myself. But I think if you don't want to, you don't have to say anything, and right. I think that that's what's important. And, then also, there's a T-square with all that stuff going on over there in Pisces that's starting to come together. It actually gets stronger tomorrow. So let me just say that, like, tomorrow it's a little bit stronger, and then it's kind of intensifies on Wednesday. So tomorrow it becomes a little bit more clear as to what that T-square might be better than today. So I would pay attention for the next couple of days, especially in relation to what are you letting go of and what are you moving into, how you take care of yourself and your relationship to the system, or maybe it's your personal system. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do, with the government or whatever, but maybe it has something to do with like the system that you're in. And I think that both in a square to Jupiter in Gemini, I feel like it's going to depend, of course, if you have some strong placements around that.
For sure. Because, the nodes are always opposite each other, right? That's nothing's unusual there. South node's always going to be opposite the north node. So you can see we still have a crowded Pisces and crowded Aries. And so the nodes are at 26, and right along with them is Ceres, Saturn, Neptune, Venus. It's quite the party going on in Aries and Venus. So Gemini jumping into that, so you have that watery or fiery energy on the one side. The node, of course, is in Pisces and Virgo, so that's earth and water. And then Gemini's air. It's how do you think about this? What are you considering? And of course, Jupiter makes everything bigger, so suddenly your thoughts you may be having some like aha moments, or suddenly understanding something about your future or your past because of that T-square. So squares, of course, mean that there's a decision that should be made or needs to be made. It usually requires action. Squares are usually as Nadia Shah likes to say, a point of tension that can be an opportunity to create action.
Yeah.
And of course, equally action or reaction, right? So it's really up to you. This is the part of astrology where how you understand what's happening this week helps you understand how to move with it instead of, swinging,
And I think like today, though, with the moon in Virgo, with not too much action going on, would be very relaxed on Tuesday. But I feel like Wednesday is when things are going to like really light that T-square up.
Activate.
Yeah. And so the T-square activates really probably, before 9 p.m. Mountain Time. Sorry, I didn't put the time zone there, but it's Mountain Time, 9/11 Mountain Time to 12 a.m. The next day. So it's May 8th. And that's the void, of course, moon. But I think before that, so before 9 p.m. Mountain Time is when you will experience whatever. I'm wondering if it could be very well be something about communication for you.
That's what I'm getting.
Could very much just be about getting communication or making communication that makes sense. And I think that T-square there is kind of like the main thing, right?
Well, and I would also just point out that Chiron and Mercury are conjunct in Aries. And so, words can heal. Maybe you say the perfect thing to someone, or someone says the perfect thing to you, and it's the healing that everybody needs. Virgo, the moon in Virgo is, of course, answering to that Mercury Chiron conjunction, but it's in conjunct. So it might not be clear. It might be a little, you'll be straining to sort of, is this what I need to do? Kind of thing like that. But I would definitely lean towards let's have our words be healing instead of hurting.
Well, and hopefully that will be true, even though Mercury's in Aries. But I think if we lean into our true intentions, our true heart, that we'll be able to find that, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
And then on Thursday, I thought it was interesting that we go from that to then the moon sort of completes a mystic rectangle, and which I thought was very interesting with Mars, Pluto, and Neptune. Mostly in that the mystic rectangle is kind of healing in a way, especially after the T-square, the day after. And so a mystic rectangle is usually, a T-square is sometimes a challenge, some sort of action you have to take to make like a problem solve type of thing. And I feel like the T-square is still there, but then the mystic rectangle gets lit up quite a bit. And there's some other trines too that could easily make the answer to the problem come together pretty easily. So if something comes up Wednesday, Thursday that you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Try to just communicate clearly about what you need, speak what you need, say what you need, listen to other people speak, make sure you make room for that too, and listen to other people. and take what they're saying to be, their truth or what they needed to say. And I think if that happens, I think you'll be good. And the void of moon ends that morning, like in the middle of the night at midnight. So then the rest of the day, sometimes when the void of course moon comes out of void, I feel like that's where we kind of stumble a little bit, or it can be hard to like kind of catch your run. You know what I mean? Like it can feel like you're all of a sudden taking off again. So you might have a little bit of a busy day or whatever, but I think it will smooth out by afternoon, by 5 o'clock. And the good news about that is that you would, and that's mountain time, of course. So, I think at that point, you're going to feel like some sort of mystical energy, the universe is helping you and will help resolve that. So that will be Wednesday, Thursday, whatever goes on there. You might have a little hiccup in whatever's going on in your life. And then you'll probably find healing of that on Thursday, or whatever will seem to be like destined almost in a way that it takes care of itself or easy to resolve. And I think I actually looked at this day for quite a while and I was like, I don't know. I think it's kind of a relaxed day. Like, I feel like there's not a whole lot going on and I feel like this is the day to relax. So if you want to make plans for Friday or even Friday night, there is a void moon. It would be a great night to do something relaxing. It will be like 1 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast when the moon goes void. But, in California and Nevada, it'd only be 10 o'clock.
Right.
So, so I can see somebody being like, hey, let's just stay home and Netflix and chill type of thing. Okay. Just relax and take care of yourself because the void, of course, moon is there in late night on Friday night. And I feel like that's good. We could be without a drama Friday night, right?
Right. That would be nice.
Just let it chillax.
And, let us know what your experience has been of the void of course moons. Like, are you starting to notice that it's best to be quiet during those times? Sometimes Hollis feels like it's a wet blanket. Like, oh my God, I don't have energy for anything. Like,
I think it might depend on what sign it's in.
And I think I was just going to say the same thing. So this one is, of course, the void is that moment in between when it's the moon is moving from one sign to another. So it's moving out of Virgo and into Libra. So when it's in Virgo, it answers to Mercury because that's its ruler. And when it goes into Libra, it'll answer to Venus. And Venus is in Aries. And of course, Venus also rules the sun in Taurus because Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So in some respects, the sun and the moon are both reporting to Venus, reporting for duty. and so
good luck.
Yeah, so Venus, especially those of you who have those signs and are Venus ruled, this will be powerful. Now, the challenge thing there is, while they're answering to Venus, Venus is not in her favorite sign. She's in Aries, and Venus in Aries is it in its detriment?
A little bit, yeah. So what I notice about Venus in Aries is that it's easy to find something to complain for rather than to be grateful and loving and kind and la la la. When Venus is in Aries, sometimes, especially if your Venus is in Aries, you might find that energy sort of amplified.
The energy I see is Venus being like, it's too damn hot, because you're in Aries, it's fire, and she's not really keen to be in fire. And home is all the way 180 degrees away in Libra. So, so definitely not her favorite sign, but nevertheless, the moon and the sun are still answering to her because of her rulership.
Right. So I think it's mostly good. I think it's mostly relaxed time. And I think it's mostly like pay attention to that energy. Like just relax, because the next day you have 2 T-squares. So that's Saturday. And Saturday has 2 T-squares. One is again with the whole North Node, South Node, Saturn and Ceres, and now there's square Jupiter. Okay. And then there's that one's been going on all week. And then there's another one that happens with the moon involved. And the moon and Mercury are opposite, and they're both square Pluto. And so that's like a whole nother T-square going on there. And so that very much tells me about communicating emotions. Make sure you take time to reflect on what's already happened, particularly since Pluto is retrograde. So it's probably an argument about something that's been ongoing for a while, or something you've been arguing about before. With the moon in Scorpio, it makes me feel like maybe something was hidden or not revealed, and it's opposite Mercury at the same time. And so that I feel like that Mercury and Taurus thing is it is very much about, it could be about money, particularly because the ruler of Scorpio is Mars. And I just feel like it could be about money. It could be about just investments, or something else. Taurus. It could even be like food, pleasure, things like that. And they're both in a square to Pluto. And so that's like a reflective energy. Maybe something wasn't said, or something wasn't heard, or whatever was happening there, because, Mercury is at 0 degrees. So it could be easily a misunderstanding.
Oh, yeah. There it is. Mercury's moved into Taurus at 0. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a big deal. Mercury moving into Taurus. Now Mercury's answering as well to Venus.
Yeah.
Behind them. Okay. And then, of course, when I see Pluto, and Pluto, of course, rules sort of all things underground, and in squares like that, I just go, oh man, I hope we don't have any more big like earthquakes. Because sometimes when we've seen that configuration, there's been earthquakes. I suppose in one respect, there's probably earthquakes every day, but
maybe it depends on what scale.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, wow. So,
and that afternoon, 12:58, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the void is of course all morning. There's a void of course moon all morning.
I understand what you're trying to say. It's like from midnight to noon, that's almost the way, or 11 p.m. to noon.
It's almost like a half a day.
Actually.
12:58.
Yeah. Oh, no. Is it just a couple? No, that's p.m., not a.m.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, there you go. That's a pretty good size one. So, and then the other thing that I'm starting to notice is that Sun and Uranus are starting to come together, and that will lead to a surprise in a minute.
Yeah, so that surprise will be going on probably next week. Yeah. So we'll report about that. And then this Pluto square Mercury, I was looking at that because, that's part of the T-square. And that's what that really is like. I mean, it's not that strong of a day. And so that's why I put relax, because whatever happened the day before could be kind of a little bit energy draining. Particularly, I think with Pluto retrograde, you tend to get more drained quickly or something. And so, I just feel like with Mercury square Pluto, it definitely has something to do with communication and what is being communicated or being heard, because that's part of communication as well. And so, but I think by Sunday you'll be able to relax again. So really it's just that Saturday is a little bit intense. And this week, like Tuesday, Wednesday, you could have a little bit of intensity, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to resolve it. It's not going to be major things. These are going to be small things this week. It's not going to be major, major things. So Alyssa said, I've been really setting boundaries even more so the last 19 months, but I started about 6 years ago, and lots of people were ticked off. Yeah. Yeah.
The ones who benefited from you having none. Right?
Right. But they definitely expose themselves, making it easier to figure out who is good for my path and who isn't. That's right, Alyssa. It's very interesting, that thing that unfolds, isn't it? It's so weird when that happens. And then if you can become awakened to it, it's interesting. So Alyssa said Pisces sun, Gemini moon, Leo rising, Aries Venus. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is totally lining up for you, Alyssa, because you have, planets in where the action is happening pretty much. There's several planets in Pisces. Jupiter is forward in Gemini. Leo has Mars just jamming on through it. And, well, Aries has got a party going on. So, that's a lot of action for you. I bet you got a lot going on right now, Alyssa. It's okay, Bianca. We're glad you made it. You know what you do with the void moons, Bianca, is that you put them in your calendar. Do you have Google Calendar? And then set up a reminder. That's what you do. Yeah. Hi, Annie. Welcome. We're glad you made it. And hey, Shauna. What's Shauna say? Okay. What does Pisces control?
Pisces is Pluto rules, Neptune rules Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's an air sign and it's mutable. Right?
Pisces is mutable, but Pisces is a water sign.
Obviously.
Yeah. I think it's mutable. Yeah. And then Shauna said, is that a good day to move? Because that's when they're scheduled to move me now. I don't know what that is, so you'll have to tell me what day. And it's probably going to be, it will be what it will be. There's not a whole lot you can do about it, right?
Right.
And that's what the meditation was in the beginning. And Shauna said, and tomorrow Social Security is supposed to make a decision. So I'm sure a decision will come together. Stay positive, especially with the squares to Neptune. And Friday is Corey's birthday. I see, Shauna. Okay. Is Wednesday a good day? Yeah, you know what? That is actually a great day to move.
That's probably the best day
That's probably the best day of the week with the Mystic Rectangle. That's pretty much essentially saying to you, Shauna, that blessings. Blessings, good job. This is the way you're supposed to go.
Right.
If you I'm just going to look at it real quick. Wednesday. I
think Wednesday was the sweet spot.
Oh, not quite. Yod. It's the T. It's the yod and a T square. It's not a yod. It's a T square.
Which day was Mystic Rectangle?
Next day, Thursday.
Oh, there it is.
Uh-huh. So, actually, it just could be hard, Shauna. Moving is not easy, right? I mean, it could just be as simple as the move. It doesn't mean that everything's going to go wrong and everything's going to fall apart. What it means is that it could be a challenge that day. And, well, hell, last I checked, moving is hard for everyone.
Right. And if you could be wrapped by 9 p.m., because by 9 p.m., well, at least that's mountain time. I don't know what zone you're in.
Right.
You might find that's it. You've run out of energy.
And Shauna's saying that the judge still hasn't signed the order to throw you out. And if I remember correctly, Shauna, your Leo is in the 9th house, and that's the house of justice. So isn't it interesting that there might be some passive aggressive energy going on by the judge towards your landlord who has been unfair and who seems like the system kind of knows he's not really a good guy. And so the judge, it sounds like he's on your side and he's actually helping you. So that's actually hilarious in a way. So I just can't help but laugh because I'm realizing that how well that is working out in your favor, actually. So, Shauna, I would just hold on and just let whatever's going to work work itself out and just allow it to unfold, just like I did in the meditation in the beginning. Try to imagine yourself in that meditation and just keep reminding yourself that no doubt the universe is unfolding exactly as it should.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Bianca said, I'm glad to just be here though, even for part of it. You guys are so chill. Y'all help me feel calm just listening. Good. I think this week is just going to be very destined. It's, some things are going to unfold for you that have probably been sort of coming up for quite some time now. You've probably been working on them or somehow dealing with them. And I think that's the energy that's coming up right now. So just hold on tight to that and just allow things to unfold exactly as they should. I mean, that's really what's happening this week. That's it. I told you when the challenges could be, but that's okay. Like challenges are normal. Their T-squares are you just have to usually do something about it. That's all. There's usually a balance or a compromise, maybe. That's all. So, Bianca said, I was talking about for the live, but probably need one of those moon calendars too, because I'm sure I'm significantly affected by the moon is your chart ruler. Yeah, Bianca. So yeah, that's exactly. Get a moon calendar. But I think just understanding like the void of course moon could be really helpful for you. And also, what you do, Bianca, is you look at that. If you got the beginner's astrology guide that I have, if you have that that download that I have on my page, it's like an astrology, like how to read your astrology chart thing. If you got this book, what you do is you look at the moon sign in all the different zodiac, and that'll give you a good sort of vibration of what the moon is when it's in that sign. So if you're using your moon app and it tells you moon is in Virgo and you're like, what does that mean? Look at that chart and it will kind of tell you like some key words about moon and Virgo. And it would apply to how you're feeling in the moment since the moon is your chart ruler. So that would be really helpful for you to have that little book. And that's what I would do. I would just look at that moon and just kind of look at those keywords. That'll help you start to get an idea of the vibrations of the zodiac.
Cool. You going to do a little reading of the...
Oh, yeah.
The zodiac?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for keeping me together, Bright Hawkins. I'm definitely not.
Well, it's one of your super skills that I think everybody enjoys finding out. And of course, this helps us especially if you get that little guide, it'll help you understand what we call the big three in astrology. Everybody understands their sun sign, but that's just a tiny portion of it. It's just one significant piece, but really, really important to know what your rising sign is, because that's what we're growing into. That's often who we really are in the world. And then, of course, your moon sign, which speaks to your emotional weather, if you will. So knowing where your moon is really vital. It's vastly different if you're in a water sign versus a fire sign, air versus earth. Knowing that moon sign is really helpful. So when Hollis does this reading and figures out, starting with Aries and going on through Pisces, you want to know what your sun, moon, and rising are. You want to listen for each of those. And then I've talked about in the past, if you're like me and you have placements at 29 degrees or even 26, 27, 28, 29, you want to listen to the next sign because it'll really influence how it goes. So yeah, there you go. You're all ready?
Just about, yeah. Alyssa said, with the sun being my chart ruler, how does that play into transits? I know how planets and where they're at, their condition can say a lot, but how does that work with the sun? Well, the thing about the sun is that anytime it's in Aries, it's exalted. And anytime it's in Leo, it's in its rulership. So that means the sun plays a stronger role, even in the transits, for you. So if the sun is your chart ruler, you must be an Aries.
Leo.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you must be a Leo, right? You're a Leo rising. And you just said that a few minutes ago. And so a Leo rising, that means that when you think about the sun, I don't think it's going to play as big of a role as it does for Aries, I think. But I think it will be influential to maybe how you are in the world. Maybe how you are in public, or what happens to you in public, or your experience with politics or leaders. That would be my guess.
And then
that's how it would apply for you, I think.
Well, what I would also say about Sun and Leo is that Leo is naturally, think about how bright the sun is. So there's, to many people, a natural attraction. Like, not everybody's attracted to the light, but a lot of people are. And so, so you have that way of drawing people towards you and them wanting to do things with you, for you, without even knowing or realizing why. Like, oh, doesn't everybody have this magic ability? No, you're special. And that's part of what makes Leo Sun special, is you have this attractive, magnetic shine that makes people go, oh, you know, you draw them to you. So of course the shadow side of Leo is that make sure that you don't come off as arrogant, right? That some people think, aren't you high and mighty and whatever. And sometimes when you're shiny and bright, people want to, take you down,
Mm-hmm.
or take your shine. Or I think the rainbow fish, right? They want to can I just have one of your beautiful shiny scales? So that's part of what happens with Leo. So,
and maybe since the sun just left Aries, Alyssa, I would also say that would be a very busy, action-oriented time. You might even find yourself frustrated at times, Alyssa, and it will greatly depend on like where the sun is in Aries, like what degree it's at. But let me also say that sometimes it's going to be in a trine to your sun. So that's good because it's in the same element, because Aries and Leo are both fire. But when it's opposite your sun, that's when it's going to be the most challenging. So that's Aquarius season. Okay? So that's like wintertime. Okay? All right. And then...
Good question. Thanks for asking. I hope that was interesting to everybody. All right. So share your screen.
I will.
And you already got your
I got
chart
it.
set up.
Set.
Good job.
And so this is for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is the T-square that will intensify or get pretty activated on May 8th with the moon. And I feel like this is a Thursday. Okay. And so what I would say about this is that on this day, Aries, you're really your emotions could be pulling you one direction, especially in relationships. And with Aries, I think Aries, relationships with Venus been hanging out in Aries for a while now. You've probably been dealing with relationships. And so just be aware of that with your identity and relationships and your emotions in relation to relationships. Okay. So that's pretty much how you're going to be experiencing that. It will be very much about your identity, how you feel, and relationships. Okay. Particularly how you feel about it, maybe stuff in relation to the past. I'm going to go backwards just because of the timing of things. Because that's how I kind of set it up today. Okay. So now, so Pisces will be grateful because...
Yeah, you're always last. Now you're second.
Right, because
I always feel like sometimes we should change it.
Yeah, exactly. I've thought that actually last time, so I'm saying it this time.
Yeah.
Is that, this is really going to be, again, even for Pisces, this is going to be very similar to your relationships, but it might be a little less intense. but I still feel like it's going to be in relation to your identity and your relationships. The Aries, it would be more like relationships and day-to-day life and like everywhere you're going. So it's not just self-identity. Pisces is a little bit different, where it will be full on your identity versus emotions, particularly letting anything go in relation to relationships. It's just something maybe you got to let go emotionally so that you can move on and find growth and maybe find harmony in your home or justice in your home. So just be aware that, that's really what the universe is trying to point you towards, Pisces. We know you want a peaceful home, and it seems like you're going to be willing to do that. Now we're going to go back to Aquarius. Aquarius, this is for your sun, moon, and rising. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. Now, this is really first of all, I want to say, Aquarius, you've been through a long transition with Pluto pumping in and out of your sign and now hanging out in your sign and going backwards in your sign. So especially if you have anything in the first few degrees of Aquarius, you're definitely feeling this. It's definitely probably a little bit intense, but I feel like these feelings that happen, that come up in relation to things that you don't want to talk about, maybe things that are hidden within you, or other emotions related to things that are hard to talk about, like sex or death and taxes, whatever's going on there, Aquarius. The moon is, over there in Libra. And it's void. I think it void during this time. But what's important about this day is that in regards to that emotion, you're going to be able to find some healing. And maybe that has something to do with a creative outlet of yours. Maybe some sort of creative outlet is expressed, or something you're able to express there, Aquarius. And, it's definitely in relation to money too. I know that's been going on for a while now with all these Aries Pisces transits have been hanging out in your second house. And so I feel like that's going to be, you might actually be able to like find some sort of emotional solace in something. Okay. And so if you really feel lost, just know that you're going to find some peace. Although, it doesn't mean that the troubles are going to go away. It just means that the emotions will. And just remember that everything's unfolding as it should. So stay open to communication and stay open to how things come. Okay? Because it's all meant to happen, and you just have to figure out how to navigate it. And now for Capricorn, this is for Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. Now, Capricorn, this is very, very much about all of that business in relation to your neighbors, and your community and the people around you, in relation to your spiritual calling or your spiritual feeling. Do you have this, are you doing okay? And with your day-to-day life with a square to Jupiter, I feel like there's going to be some good luck in regards to that. You might have to take some action, but just stay open, stay open-minded, and I'm pretty sure that it will work itself out. Just stay open to communication, and just try to stay present with the energy as it unfolds on Wednesday, Thursday. Okay? So that's for Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. Now, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. Sagittarius, this is going to have a lot to do with your home. This means the place that you're living, the house that you're living in. This is going to have a lot to do with that, and in relation to even your career or what you're doing for career. And this is going to have a lot to help you resolve in relationships. It feels like there might be some action that has to be taken, maybe in relation to your work and home, but it will help bring some good luck and some cheer to relationships. Especially if there's been something you've been challenged with. I'm pretty sure there's an answer there. Just stay open to communicate about the answer. Stay open to communication. That is the best thing you could do on Wednesday, Thursday as you deal with this energy. I feel like while the T-square is activated, it will also happen later on in the week. So just be prepared to deal with it and be open to communication. That's really the key, I think, this week. And then for Scorpio sun, moon, and rising. Scorpio sun, moon, and rising. This is definitely for you. This is very much going to be about children. And so in relation to children, what I'm going to say is that take a deep breath first. So when you're regulated, they'll be regulated. So that's the 5th house. And it could also be about other things that you create or creativity and romance. And so if you've really been struggling with something, maybe it's about sex, or maybe it's about death, or something else that's like taboo or hard to talk about, I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to find and take some action in relation to that. You'll be able to answer the questions. You'll be able to approach the hard subjects, whatever it is. Just be open to communication. Try not to go too fast in communication. Try not to let Mars completely take you away. But I feel like Mars and Leo, it is in a trine to Neptune. So you could be under an illusion. Just be aware of that. But just take the action that needs, that seems most obvious in the moment. What's the next best thing? Okay, Scorpio? So just stay open to what you think is good. Okay? And now for Libra, sun, moon, and rising. Libra, this is very much about your day-to-day life. What's going on there? Day-to-day life, it's challenging maybe. Something's having to do with everything that has to do with like maybe the system, and somehow you're not sure how you feel about this, but let me say that there will be some sort of divine intervention or justice. Justice will be served for Libra, which is very important. Stay open to your communication, particularly emotionally, and whatever needs to be let go of, Libra. Just let it go, especially since your ruling planet is in Aries right now. It's not super easy to stay tapped into your ruling planet right now, Libra. And Venus will move out of Aries soon enough. But in the meantime, I would just say to just kind of try to chill out and try to listen spiritually, meditate, take time to breathe, do some cards, get a reading, any of those kinds of things, spiritual things, go to school, learn, or know that justice will be served, particularly with Jupiter going direct in Gemini. And that's for Libra, sun, moon, and rising. Now, this is for Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. Virgo. So for my Virgo friends, I want to say that what is it about you that you just have to let go of? There's something about money or something else that you just need to let go of. And this is in relation to your house to things that you don't want to talk about, that are hard to talk about. Maybe it's about other people's money. Maybe it's about things in relation to that. And maybe there's some things you don't want to talk about in relation to other people's money, but know that if some proper action is taken, you could have some really great luck as far as work, as business goes. So just take the action, and maybe that will help resolve some of the issues. Stay open to communication. Make sure you listen as much as you speak, especially later in the week. Like this is good for Wednesday, Thursday, but like Saturday, make sure you listen really well, because that's when, Mercury's in Taurus at 0 degrees. So sometimes like our maturity level can keep us from listening properly, like the way a 3-year-old does. So, just be open and listen. Try to spend some time listening, my friends. And that's for Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. And now for Leo, this is for Leo, sun, moon, and rising. Leo, this is going to have a lot to do with your spirituality and justice, or higher learning, or maybe a little bit of all those things, Shauna. Maybe it's a little bit of all of it. But don't worry, justice will be served on Wednesday. Absolutely. You might have to take an extra action. You might have to do something to make it happen, but that will help you navigate. Just trust in Jupiter to take you forward, and that justice will be served. The right thing will happen, because Jupiter is about justice, and it's in Gemini, and it's forward, and it's past its shadow period. It's boogieing through Gemini. And that's in your house of people that you know, people that have power over you. And the nodes are in opposition. So that's the house of spirituality with Saturn there. So you'll probably be dealing with some sort of system, and about taking care of yourself. Okay. Particularly taking care of you, letting go of old patterns, letting go of what needs to be let go of, and move forward on Wednesday in a way that you're confident and knowing that the universe has you. Because exactly what happens again on Saturday is that T-square is still lit up, and then there's another one with Pluto, and that's going to have to do with like relationships and things like that. So just hold on there and just know that that intensity is there, and just allow it to come, experience it, and then allow it to pass. Because that's exactly what I've told you about this week, is that while there might be some challenges on Wednesday and Saturday, just allow them to happen and just work through the challenge the best of your ability, and just know that it will be over soon. Like, sometimes I just find solace in that with the astrology. Just know it's going to be over. Okay? So that's for Leo, sun, moon, and rising. And now for Cancer. Cancer, this is for your Cancer sun, moon, and rising. Now remember, you mix things up, okay? So you mix them up based on your sun, moon, and rising. You mix up whatever I say about each sign, okay? And so this is for Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. And so Cancer, what I want to say is this very much: what is it about home or your family of origin that you just gotta let go? Something from your past, maybe, and it's not going well with the system, or it's just not working well in relation to your job, to your work in the world, or to what you offer the world. But just listen to that, and I'm not sure you'll see the answer right away, but someone else will. So on Wednesday, if someone else gives you an answer or a suggestion, be open to it, because that's when you should listen, because Jupiter's speaking to you through someone else. So just listen for Jupiter on Wednesday, Thursday, particularly in relation to any issues that have been going on recently this year. Okay, just listen to that message coming through from somebody else, or maybe it comes through an institution or a hospital or some other unseen thing. Okay, like just kind of comes out of the blue in some way, and then you realize, that's what I need to do. Okay, and so that's for Cancer. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. Now the next is for Gemini. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. This is very much about kids and romantic relationships and things that you create, your creativity. What is there emotionally that's coming up for you that needs to be expressed in relation to your identity, particularly in relation to other people or coworkers or friends or someone else that has some sort of power over you, or maybe you're allowing them to have power over you. Okay. And that has to do maybe with a system, and maybe taking care of yourself, and maybe you haven't been, speaking your truth or whatever it is, because you'll have to speak it later this week, probably on Saturday. And this will have a lot to do with your identity, Gemini. This is, Jupiter is coming through your sign, and it's very much going to talk about your belief systems and what you believe and what you believe in. So Gemini, be clear, be open, and try to understand the other person's perspective. That's probably the best thing you could do in this situation, Gemini. Particularly both situations that happen even to Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I would just kind of be open, and I would just take the moment to step aside and think about the other person's experience. I find that very helpful way to slow things down. You don't have to react right away, okay, Gemini? Because I think if you just think about it, it will come up in a better way. Okay? And now for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now, Taurus, the sun is in your sign right now. So, depending on how your sun is placed in the chart will depend on how you handle your solar returns. But Taurus, what I would also say is that right now it's going to be about money and your day-to-day life, and maybe you're just not seeing how this is working with the system, or maybe you do work in a hospital or an institution that is unseen, and there's something about money that needs to be resolved. You will find that action this week. You will be able to, you'll have to take some sort of action. You'll have to do something about it, but the answer will start to reveal itself this week, and you'll start finding the answer. And then by the time you get to Saturday, you'll really better understand it in relation to your career. What is it that you have to do? What needs to be done, especially in relation to day-to-day life, your work in the world, and money. Okay, Taurus, or investments or values. All right, so that's everybody. Woohoo, I did it.
Thank you for your patience, Taurus. You're like, oh.
Oh my gosh. Alyssa said, with the sun being okay, she already asked that. We already answered that question. Good evening, Carrie. It's great to see you. I'm glad you're here. And, I hope that's helpful. Hollis says that I'm a Leo Cancer. You're not a wreck. Shauna, you're not. You're just a Leo. And, the fact that you have double Leo and a Cancer makes me think exactly why she processes her experience more on the outside. Because that's Leo, right? That's Leo.
Certainly not Cancer.
No, it's certainly not. And I don't even think, and Cancer doesn't always know how they feel.
For sure.
But Leo is very public. So
Cancer learns how they feel as it's coming out of their mouth. My father was a Cancer. He was very even keel. He was very, very tolerant. Oh my God, father of 7 children. Mm-hmm. But then when the spark would go out of his eyes, he'd be like, uh-oh, get out of here. Just to get out of here.
Right.
Because that's when you would find out he had had enough, and it was too late,
Right.
So Cancers, they're lovely. They have most of the Cancers that I have known are very intelligent. They have big hearts for their family, of course, because that's the nature of a Cancer. And they have a long patience, and then at some point they run out of patience, and then you find out how they really feel. Mm-hmm. Along with them.
Yeah, everybody finds out at the same time.
Everybody finds out at the same time. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah. So the thing that you should understand, Shauna, is first of all, yeah, it's actually quite normal to be a double sign. Yeah. That's why I actually know someone that was like a triple Cancer. They were Sun, Moon, and Rising in Cancer. I thought she was an interesting person. They are an interesting person. But they were a singer, and I'm not sure they always knew how they felt about things. And I've always felt like my emotional intelligence just kind of flew over their head like a pigeon on the beach. So, and it was a little strange sometimes, but, once I started to understand that Cancer, it's not that they're not emotionally intelligent. It's just that they don't recognize the emotions until they're happening. So, and Shauna said, like I said, I'm a freaking roller coaster. No, Shauna, I wouldn't say that you're a roller coaster. I would say that Leos and Cancers have gone through some pretty intense stuff in since November, because of that Mars transit. That whole Mars transit really really sort of stirred up the world for Cancer and Leo
For sure.
placements, and you just so happen to have both of them. So, yeah, Alyssa, you're a Leo rising, and I think you said you're a Gemini moon, and Gemini is pretty public too. And sometimes what it matters is what's on the top half, like is your moon and your sun on the top half of the horizon of the chart. So if you cut it in half from left to right, the top half of the chart is considered public, and the lower half of the chart is more of like your private emotions. So might also have to do with that. So there's a couple of ways to find the same meaning, and you will find that happens over and over again. Shauna, the reason I actually think you have more patience than you give yourself credit for. I've seen you get frustrated with things, but I think that's just a Leo the lion thing. And I think that you actually have more patience than you give yourself credit for, because you've been through a lot of crap and it's really hard, and you're learning at the same time. And while Cancers are really good at that, Leos are not. So there's part of you that wants to learn, and then there's this Leo part of you that's kind of like, why don't I already know this? What's wrong with me? Just be, and that's the Leo wanting to be the best of the best of the best. And Leo can be kind of self-criticizing, much like Virgo, because they want to be perfect or be the best. And so I wouldn't give yourself too much trouble about that, because I feel like the Cancer is kind of what softens you a little bit. But the only thing about that is that the Cancer doesn't always know what exactly they're feeling. So I'm going to pull three tarot cards for this week for everyone. And this is very much about how we're feeling this week, right? And like how we're managing through, okay? And so I want to give you the first card is from the past. This is from the Love is Love or Pride deck. And this is, each one of these cards is done by a different LGBTQ artist. I always like to give artists credit because it's kind of a thing. And so this is the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is very much a card about your intentions. Setting your intentions, seeing where you're going, making plans. That's really what the Knight of Wands is. It's really about what's going on in your mind, less about the actual action that you're taking, but more about your intention. And this has to do with what's happened in the past. You've already set your intention. You already know where you're going. You already know what has to happen. You're just kind of waiting for everything to unfold in a way. And that's exactly what this is about. And now going forward, this is in the here and now. And this is the Two of Swords. This is very much about two people. It could be about a conflict. It could be about a choice. Okay. So it could be like an inner conflict about that choice. And so that's also even more specific. And this is like the Two of Swords. So this is very much about black or white. Also be careful of black and white thinking, because this is about now. So black and white thinking is really dangerous. And that's exactly what I'm talking about when I say that, don't get yourself like thinking everything's terrible or whatever, because that's black and white thinking. It's either good or bad. Well, sometimes things are just, okay? And that's what this is a reminder of. This is in the here and now. So this is this week. This is now. And this very much has a lot to do with those choices, the choices that you make, including the choice to not have black and white thinking, or to pull away from that and try to find a balance of it. And going forward, you're going to be able to balance those finances. You're going to find a way to make the finances work for you and to be able to even put money away. And that's really what the Four of Pentacles is about. It's really about, don't worry about the money thing. It will come around, and it is working out in your best interest. This is about the future. This is about going forward. So whatever it is about money, a lot of people have been struggling with money, like I mentioned, like Aquarius, and there's all kinds of people struggling, especially right now, with the stock market crash and everything else that's happened. So this is the Four of Pentacles, and even me. So I'm kind of like, whew, glad it's going to work out, because, oh boy, right? Okay. And so this is the four of Pentacles, and this is very much about, don't worry, just keep going forward, keep doing what you're supposed to do. Don't try not to let the worry pull you down, because, like this black and white thinking of good or bad, that's going to get you in trouble, right? Especially when it comes to money. Like, I found that money is not, it feels like it's very black and white, but it's not. So remember, in the past, this is about the intentions that you set. Those intentions are unfolding now. And remember about the choices that you can make. Try to make good choices this week. Try to stay on point. Try to stay focused in, especially keeping away from black and white thinking and being open to many different paths and listening. Remember what I said about listening. Jupiter will speak to you. Jupiter's in a good placement right now, and it's speeding along. So you might have to listen. But if you listen, it is speaking. It's in Gemini, so it is speaking, and it could be speaking through other people. It could be speaking through people you love, or in certain actions or certain things that are happening. Frankly, Jupiter could be speaking through me right now. Okay? So listen to that. Listen to that and allow those messages to come through, because that's what's going to lead you to this. That's what's going to lead you to getting your money settled so that it feels a little bit better, and you're taking care, you're even able to put money away, because this is definitely about saving resources, and being a little bit more careful, but also having what you need to spend, which is also really important too. It's hard sometimes to live where you don't have enough for regular everyday things. And you certainly don't have money for saving. So, just take it one step at a time, and get yourself settled in. All right.
Wow. I always love how the tarot reflects the astrological reading as well, and great little helpers and insights about how to manage the week.
Agreed.
Thank you so much. That was really interesting. Well, you guys, thank you so much for interacting. Thanks for your likes and your subscribing, and I really appreciate that. And if you have a chance to share it with somebody you think can help benefit them as well, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Please share it. And Shauna, you might have to take some sort of action for your Social Security, but probably, yeah. Shauna said she loves your necklace, Bright Hawk.
Oh, thank you.
That's very sweet.
Well, thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's Soulstrology and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoy this dose of Soulstrology and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart, so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are a perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.